Welcome to the third episode of Lead Woman, where we speak to some of the most iconic women in Sri Lankan politics. So today's speaker is the former parliamentarian and member of opposition, Ms. Hirunika Premachandra. I think most of our viewers know that it was following your father's murder that you sort of decided to enter politics. But have you always had an interest in politics, or that was the sole reason for you to enter politics?
I was interested in politics. Even when I was in school, I was the deputy head prefect, and from age of I think 10 or 11, my inspiration was Mrs. Chandrika Kumaratunga. I can remember that she was at one incident that where she was attending a national day, I think, and then I saw her charisma. I was a little girl, but what I saw was that her personality. And from that moment, I think I was only about 10 years. From that moment, I knew that I wanted to do something like that. I wanted to just stand out. I wanted to, engage with public. And also, our house was a very public place, even though we call it a home, but it was a very public place. So from the morning till night, there were people everywhere, even in the kitchen, in our rooms, because my father was an activist. He was doing trade unions. So because of that, so many union leaders were at our place. So it was a busy environment. So I was used to it from the beginning. I always mingle with these people. So because of that was one of the reasons that I thought that I could do politics. So I was interested in politics. But my father's idea was that I should finish my education and I should settle down, and then once I have my kids and all that, after that I can enter politics. But unfortunately, after my father's murder, actually it was my mother who wanted to get into politics because I was too young. I was only 23, and all I wanted is to finish the case. I wanted justice to be done. But the people in Kolonnawa, mainly people in Kolonnawa, they gathered around and they said, it's better if you contest than your mother. So after many conversations and meetings, I agreed to contest for the provincial council. That's how I got into politics. But now I think, since my father's idea was he always thought if a lady come into politics, then there are certain milestones that she should, complete. Education, getting married, having kids. But now I think that mentality has changed. That's what my father thought. But now I think that's good that I got into politics when I was only 25 or 26. I'm glad that I started at that age. Now I'm 34, and I think because I started too young, I think I've gained so many. I've gained experience, and I've learned so much throughout. So I think that's how I got into politics.
As a young female politician, how has your experience been in Sri Lankan politics?
As a woman, it's kind of challenging. Women in politics, mainly, I think people think it's a man's job. It's a boy's game. But that's one of the reasons that many women, they hesitate to get into politics. That's one of the reasons. And the other reasons are obviously, like for an example, myself. Out of all the women who are in politics right now and who were in politics, I think I was one of I faced so many mudslingings and these kind of problems. The only reason was that the fact that I'm a woman, because all the gossips and that the reason could be the main thing is because I'm a woman. You don't hear these kind of these kind of allegations or defamation towards men because the fact that people think that this is a man's job. If you take if for an example, in my case, if I have allegations or anything of stealing public money or something like that, that's fine. But all these defamation or whatever, these mudslinging, all based on my personal life. So because of this reason, I think mainly women are they're scared to get into politics. Why would just get into a mud pit like this and listen to all these defamation and these. People can cook up any story. So I think that's one of the reasons that women are afraid to get into politics. As I told you, in my case, from the day one, I started politics till now. I'm 34 now. The only I wouldn't say allegations, but only the gossips or whatever they talk about is my personal life. They don't have anything to talk about my public life or my political life. I've never stolen any money or any public money or public property, nothing like that. So I think in my case, it's always has been and it always will be my personal life. Mainly male politicians are very scared of strong women. Not only male politicians, generally men are very scared of strong women. See, now if you take, I'm just taking examples, if you take Vimal Viravansha in Podujana Peramuna, you would never, people in their party or people who are just general public wouldn't say anything to what he says on stage, right? But people will say something to Pavitra Vanyarachi. They are talking the same thing, but the fact that Pavitra Vanyarachi is a woman and her voice is like very loud, or whatever she talks on the stage is kind of controversial, people just always point finger at her because she's a woman. In my case also, I also talk, I'm also very loud, I'm just very outspoken and all that. And if you see Harin is also saying the same thing as I am, but you never point finger at him. People point finger at me because I'm a woman. So that attitude, that mentality should change. Sri Lanka mainly, Sri Lanka is an Asian country. People have that frame inside their head that a woman should be like this. Even women politicians should be like this. I think that's the reason that they can't figure out if they like me or they hate me. I think that is the reason.
Were there any instances where you felt you were being discriminated or harassed because you were a woman in parliament?
Yeah, I wouldn't mention any situation, but yes, I faced discrimination. But in my case, I'm very vocal. If I hear or if I feel like that someone is discriminating me, or if I feel like if someone is discriminating another women politician, I would raise my voice and I will just, in that moment, I will just ask questions. So because of that, mainly male politicians are kind of bit, I wouldn't say scared, but I think they think twice before talking to me, because I always ask them why. Even if they just verbally, or mainly it's a verbal discrimination and mainly verbal abuse. I faced that. My fellow women parliamentarians face that, but in my case I always talk back to them. That's how it should be, because just because we are women or women politicians, we are in the same platform, we are in the same stage, we are doing the same career as they are. So I think just because you're a woman, they can't, even if you take in the parliament, when there are time allocation for speeches, right? In that time allocations also, for women politicians, they only give 5 or 6 minutes. That's ridiculous. So I have questioned them. Mainly I have questioned even the speaker, the Karujasuri also. So because of that, actually, I must tell you that former Speaker Karujasuri had given so much time for us, and he had given so many opportunities for us that I should appreciate. But generally, in parliaments, that's how the case is.
The few women parliamentarians in the current parliament come from different political parties with different political ideologies. But is there a sort of a sense of fraternity or like sense of sisterhood in the parliament, between the female parliamentarians?
We have a women caucus in parliament, so all the women politicians are in that women caucus. So we always, even in my time when I was in parliament, we sit together, we talk about our general problems and how the problems we face as women politicians. And I must say, back in our time also, like when I was in parliament, I can remember like all the women politicians from all over the parties, we got together, we talk about our problems, that if something happened to a woman, a politician, a parliamentarian, we always stood up for her, and which is actually, we should appreciate that. I think even now, sometimes it happens. But if you take what has happened to Hirunika Premachandra, parliamentarian Hirunika Premachandra, where another parliamentarian say, like he insulted her in the parliament in a session. But I didn't see many women parliamentarians talked about it, or they did not. The fact that they were in the same party, they never talked about it. So I think these are the things that we should change in the parliament, even in the society. Like we always see a woman, drag another woman when they talk in interviews or in public or even like in generally. But we never stand up for that woman. I think it's very important that whatever you, as a woman, you drag that woman along with. Very important, because there are very few identities in like personalities in politics or whatever, the publicly very few personalities that you can see rising up. So it's always better to give chances to other women and other ladies and other, mainly young women, young girls. So I think we should set an example as public figures.
What sort of factors do you believe that discourage women from getting involved in politics in Sri Lanka?
I think mainly that they don't want to get into this mud pit because they all think it's a mud pit. Yes, it is. But if we all think it's not suitable for women, there's no chance of us getting opportunities. So I think we all, as women, it's very difficult, especially a field like politics. But you should have courage. I can only take my example, myself. So if you take myself, seeing what has happened to me for the last few years, how I faced that, how I faced them, and how I went through all that drama. But it's all about courage, and if you know what you're doing is right, like if you're true to yourself, no matter what people say, you can go forward. That's my mantra. I always think I don't steal money, I don't steal public property, I don't steal anything from public. I'm very true to myself, and I'm very outspoken. I've always shown my reality, my real self. You can't continue a lie, right? Some way during that journey, someday the truth will reveal. So I think very important that you are true to the public, because as politicians we are public figures. That's what people look up to us. We can't continue a lie. I've shown myself, I've shown how I live, I'm very public, right? So I think that's very important. You see, for an example, people always ask me, do you like tattoos? For an example, yes, I like tattoos. I have tattoos all over. Not that people, there are rumors that I have tattoos of a Buddha on my shoulders. That's not true. But I have tattoos because I like tattoos. But I've never hid them. I've always shown them. This is my private life. This is what I like to do. This is how I enjoy my life. I have a very simple life, and just because I'm a politician, I'm not going to hide my true self. So people can decide, not based on my private life, but based on my public and political life, if they like me or not. Even if they are judging my private life, that's fine, because this is how I am. And people can come to a conclusion, okay, this woman is like this, okay? It's up to them to hate me or like. So I think there are very few politicians who are very true to public. They're true, they don't show their true self. So that's why people are very, that's why this kind of, we are in a situation like this because of that. Because people think that, okay, for an example, if you see those people who wear national and who wear white and who always, nationalism and, always putting forward, saviors of country and Buddhism and all that, they're not that white, So people should understand that because people believe these people are real, people believe that. Because of that, we are in a situation like this. So I think it's about time that public understand the true selves of these politicians, and it's completely up to the public to change this country or change this system. They should come forward. That's one of the reasons that we as women wings in SJB, we came out. Now people say, how did you do that? How did you go in front of President's house and all that? we wanted to show people that these politicians are just human beings just like us. They're also scared. They also have faults. So it's about time. It's about high time that people come out and question these politicians, question these people. I think, but now it's happening. Now you can see that people are frustrated. People talk against them. People talk back to them, which is a good. I think which is a good improvement.
Is it an issue of not having laws and policies to accommodate more women in local governing bodies, whether it's a parliament or whether it's a municipal council? Or is it a problem of the laws and policies that are there in place not being implemented? And what would you do different to sort of increase the participation of women in Sri Lankan politics?
Now, as a young parliamentarian, I can remember even as a young politician, I also faced all these problems. There are few women politicians, but the elders, especially the experienced women politicians, they are a bit insecure when a newcomer comes in and they have the limelight and all that. It's very common, it's normal. But in my case, now I'm 34, I have few 5 or 6 25-year-old, 20-year-old girls who I give opportunities. I have made them the path to get into politics even in my electorate, because I don't want them to face or experience what I have experienced. It's very unfair. When I was in my 20s, I worked with older women politicians, experienced women politicians. I was cornered. So because of that reason, I felt very uncomfortable. I felt very sad. I felt frustrated. So I don't want that to happen. That happened to another young girl. So that's why I started giving them opportunities even in this election. Probably in June or July there will be urban council election. So I have already selected few girls to contest. That's how we should open paths for them. And also last time we gave 25% of quota for the urban council's elections. I think we should increase that to at least 30%, and also even in provincial council and also parliament election, general elections, also that 25 quota or 30 quota should be there. That's completely, the responsibility is up to the party leaders. If we give more opportunities for women in parties, and women who are from different backgrounds can come up. So I think it's completely up to the party leaders. In my case, in our party, Sajith Premadasa, our leader, he has given so many opportunities for women. For an example, now he had given complete backing for me to do SPB, which is, I think, as a leader, I think he's very brave to do that, because I know how he can get into trouble, because even though he's the leader, there are other women in the party, there are other men in the party, and but still he stood up for us, and he had given us a chance, an opportunity to completely get hold of SPB and do our work. And he never questioned us. He never tell us what to do. He had given us freedom to do whatever in responsible manner, and which is really brave and very great. I think that incident where we went in front of our president house, it's not only I led it. I lead the march, but the women who believed us and who came with us, they took a big risk. I think we all should applaud them, because those women, they don't have any background, they don't have any political background, they're just mothers. In my case, I have some kind of a political assurance, right, for some kind of a safety, but they don't. So I think it's very brave of them for coming forward.
As someone who faced postnatal depression, do you believe that the state has put enough given enough attention on issues such as maternal mental health, or mental health in general for that matter?
You can cure any disease or anything. You just have to take some pills. But mental health is the most important thing in anyone's life. But we don't talk about it. It's a taboo subject in our society. I think the reason is that because of these South Asian countries, we don't talk about these kind of topics. Like if you take a boy child, even from the beginning, from childhood, if you see a boy child cry, we always say boys don't cry. So we from the childhood, we just put a barrier to these childs, mainly boys, the boys don't cry, so they don't know how to let out their emotions or the frustration. So these are the reasons that when they grow up, you see it's a circle. You see these men, domestic abuse or domestic problems, or they just abuse children. In my house, not wife's job or husband's job. If I'm working, my husband's taking care of my children. If he's working, I'm taking care of them. And there's no cooking is for wife, cleaning is for her. No, there's nothing like that. Sometimes he cooks, sometimes I cook. So it's very important. Balance your life. Two people create a life, right? So it's not end of the day. It's not mother's job to take, not only her job to take care of the child. So these things we should openly talk about, or we should have an open forum, open platform to talk about these things. Because in our country, I've met so many depressed moms. It's very unhealthy for the kid, because if you're a happy mom, the kid is happy. If you're sad, if you're angry mom, the kid is angry. That's what my view is.
Women in Sri Lanka are a marginalized group. Do you think that women has a bigger role when it comes to fighting for the rights or speaking up for other marginalized groups such as the LGBTQ+ community?
Yes, definitely. Now, I was very upset. There was this so-called counselor was telling the public in a police meeting. There were police officers. She said that the LGBT feeling like homosexuality is a mental problem. I don't know how these people get these kind of ideas. First of all, we should know that discriminating just because of your sexual interest, it's unbelievably stupid. If you take the parliament, there are some people who are bisexual and being very open about it. Bisexual, homosexual, just because they're politicians, they are very diplomatic. They wouldn't talk about this kind of stuff. The sexuality is nothing to do with what you do in your life, right? I mean, you can whatever the work or job you do, nothing to do with your sexuality. You can't you can't define a person based on their sexuality. So I think we have to be very open about it. Like in India, multi-religion country like India also, homosexuality or bisexuality or LGBT community is very, very open about it. Even the politicians are taking stand for them. But in here, it's a very taboo subject, and people who talk about this are defined as some kind of aliens. Or see, you have to understand is this feeling like these kind of feelings. I personally know these kind of bisexual or homosexual people are very frustrated in their life. All they want is acceptance from the society, from their families. It's a very simple thing. We don't have to do much. Just accept for who they are. That's all we are asking for. And there should be some kind of regulations also in our country, because for an example, in most of these gay men, the police go and arrest them just because they are sitting somewhere and talking. The reason is that in our law books there's a clause that says that if they are publicly doing something sexual, you can arrest them. They're not even doing something, they're just talking. I'm just taking it for an example, right? Two boys can't talk publicly in a public place, they arrest them. A young boy or a homosexual person can't walk in the night, they arrest them. What is this? Because police are doing this because their mentality also, they also think this is a mental problem, or these are sexual workers or something like that. So it's very, very sad and very upsetting to even talk about this kind of stuff, because countries like America, USA, even India, they accept for who they are. And here it's unfortunate that I know personally some boys, they harm themselves because the family wouldn't accept who they are. They harm, even this will end up in suicide. So I think from the childhood, that's what I said, from the childhood, the parents should be, the first one to educate is the parents. And mainly this, and also we should take some legal actions for these kind of counselors first. I can't remember her surname. What she talked about is, as a mother, also very upsetting for me. I have a boy, I have 2 girls. If one day, if I feel like that my boy or my girls are known as mental patients, I don't know how they are going to grow into, what they are going to do in future. I'm still their mother, and I will love them to whoever they are, right? So just imagine as a mother also talking like that to tell the police officers that this is a mental problem is very frustrating. So what I'm saying is that the LGBT community should stand up, and they should have an open forum. Invite all the politicians who are willing to talk for them, talk openly about them, and have a conversation, have some kind of a dialogue about these kind of issues. I think we should start that in a near future, very soon, because boys and girls, these homosexual people are also just normal people. It's a very natural, very normal process, very normal thing.
What would you tell girls and young women out there who like yourself, who has been let down by the state and by the legal system, and who's constantly being vilified for simply fighting for what they believe to be what is right? What sort of a message do you have to give them?
I lost my father at very young age. I was 23, and I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know what I'm going to do. I was very naive. I was not exposed, but the circumstances and the society and what I went through completely changed the way I am. So this kind of trauma, this kind of incident just completely change you. I would say people will, the people who know me will know me that they always used to call me, I'm a very fun-loving, outgoing, very bubbly person. That personality completely changed because of the problems I have faced. I'm still very fun-loving and all that, only to selected people. I had to, some characteristics of my life I had to change because of the society, or maybe I'm not telling you that my personality hasn't changed, but some things that I like to do in public, or some things that I love to do, I had to just I'm not saying that I've stopped it, but I had to think about it twice before doing all that, which is unfortunate because I had to be cautious. But I think it's very unfortunate. Just because I do politics, I'm also just a normal person, right? I also have my interest and my personal life. But what I'm saying is that this is the attitude we should change. If a woman, a politician, or if a girl would like to come to this political field, be true to yourself. I mean, do whatever you like to do. People will decide if they like you or they don't like you based on what you do. And also, the other thing is that as women also, it's very important to take few women with you. Drag few women with you. When you're getting up, just drag few women with you. It's very important. Mainly what I have to say is this: at the moment in Sri Lanka, the political is in a very bad state. The country is also in a very bad state. The only way of getting out of it is that getting out of your comfort zone, and because we should be a part of a revolution, and the only way is that just getting out of your comfort zone and just question these politicians, go in front of their houses, go in front of their offices, and just talk to them, ask questions. And you have you have that, still it's a democratic country, you have that freedom to do that. And without asking questions or without making them uncomfortable, they wouldn't let this go. So I think it's completely up to the young generation right now, because in country it's very unfortunate that most of the young people are migrating or going to other countries because they have no hope in here. But if you just wait for another 2-3 years, be a part of this revolution, and then your name will be in history books. You can say that the country was in this kind of problem, this kind of state, but we are the one who came forward and changed this. Without that, there's no way forward. And without just chasing away these politicians, mainly this government, there's no way forward. And for that, the young generation, the people who have power, who have the ability to do something, should come forward.